Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a minute. Let's be honest, I've been a little bit lazy. It's been hot out. It's like 90 degrees out right now and the fan's not on. But this is part 2 of the thrift flip series, and if you know me, you probably already saw everything in this video that I made because I've already worn it, and it's been like a month since I had this footage, but now you get to see how I made it. So let's get started. Alright, so this is the first garment that I'll be fudging with today. It was $10.99, which is more than I would have wanted to pay because it felt kind of like a cheap costume material, but I really like the pattern on it, so I got it anyway. She's a bit of a long arm girl, so we're gonna have to fix that. And it looks a little frumpy in the midsection, so I'll probably just go ahead and chop that in half. I'll make it 2 pieces, and then I'll just shorten the sleeves so that they look sort of normal. This t-shirt is the other piece of clothing I'll be messing with. It was like less than $1, I think. I can't really read any of the tags at this thrift store. And yeah, it's just a men's small t-shirt, so I'm gonna crop it, obviously, and then put some elastic in the bottom so it's not super loose. And then I might just roll up the sleeves permanently or just leave them rolled up. So I tried on the dress and then I marked it at the elbow, which is where I want to take that big triangle and move it up to so that it flares out from the right place. And then I marked where my wrist was, which is where I want to shorten the sleeve to. And you can catch my cat in the background as I struggle again to try and use my left hand to mark things. I don't know why I even try. Then I just marked my waist where I want to chop the dress in half. I tried to make sure that I left like an extra inch above my waist so that the skirt was long enough, because I don't really care if the shirt is too short, but if the skirt's too short, that's kind of a problem with me. Then I just took a ruler and went ahead and marked a straight line from where I marked the waist where I'm going to cut. I actually marked, I think, a half an inch to an inch above my waist marking to allow for material to cover the elastic that I'm going to put in the skirt. So starting with the top, I cut out the triangle that's making the flare in the sleeve, and I just cut it as close to the seam line as possible. Then I took the sleeve and cut on the seam line up to where my elbow marking was. After that, I just pinned the triangle back onto the sleeve so that the top corner would meet my elbow marking. I just sewed it right sides together at, I think, a 1/4 inch. Maybe it was a half an inch, I don't really remember. And I just sewed it as close to the corner as I could get from the corner to the bottom of the sleeve. It was a bit of a struggle to get the corner to lay flat. It's really hard to sew a flat corner seam, so I had to take it out a couple times and just try to figure it out, I guess. I finally got it pretty dang flat and looks pretty good. Then I took my wrist marking on the sleeve and drew a straight line from that on one side, and then on the other side I just tried to match the curve that the sleeve originally had at the hem. Then I cut the excess fabric off, making sure to cut only through one layer because one side's curved and the other side's straight. And man, I really need to sharpen my scissors. So I took the sleeve and I did a baby hem, which is where you sew through one layer without folding it. So I sewed that at a 1/4 inch and then I folded it and then sewed that down the middle of the fold And then you cut the excess fabric off after you've sewn the folded part. And then you fold it over one more time and sew down the middle of that. And this is what it looks like. Then I had to take in the sides of the shirt a little bit because I knew that it would be a little bit loose after cutting the bottom off. So I just took 1/2 inch dart on each side. So in total that took out 2 inches at the waistline, and I just tapered it up so it took nothing out of the bust point. And then I just did a baby hem on the bottom of the shirt as well. So moving on to the skirt, I just folded the waist down 1 inch, and then I sewed a crisscross stitch over the cut edge of the folded fabric. I made sure to stretch it as I went so that I wouldn't break the threads when I was trying to put the skirt on. Then I measured the elastic around my waist, leaving 1 inch or 2 extra to sew together. So to put the elastic in, I just used 2 safety pins and I pinned one end to the skirt itself. And then I just put a safety pin on the other end of the elastic, and then I fed it through the hole that I left open while I was sewing down that edge. I just fed it through until I saw it come out of the other side. Then I pinned together the 2 ends of the elastic so they were overlapping. So I sewed the elastic together, and then I closed the hole that I left open to put the elastic in, and then that's all. The skirt's done. It was already hemmed when I chopped that dress in half. Moving on to the shirt, I marked my waist with pins this time. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had to mark. This one's really simple. So then when I took it off, I moved some of the pins so that they would be in a perfectly straight line. And then I drew an actual line 1 inch below those pins. I wouldn't recommend using Crayola markers. They're really freaking messy and I totally forgot about that. So I just cut off the extra fabric through 2 layers. I folded the bottom edge up like 1/2 inch and pressed that down. Then I just sewed down the middle of that fold. Then I folded it up again 1 inch and pressed that flat. So then I pinned it all the way around, and then I sewed it on the right side of the fabric a little bit less than 1 inch, maybe 3/4 from the edge, leaving an opening for elastic. Then I measured the elastic around my waist again, leaving a couple inches of extra to overlap and sew together. And I used the same method with 2 safety pins and pinning one end to the shirt and feeding the other end through until it comes out the other side. But then I just pinned together the 2 ends overlapping just like I did on the skirt. Then I sewed the elastic together and closed that hole. That sounds gross. Oh my god. Anyway, this is the final product. I just ended up folding the sleeves up. I didn't really feel like sewing them. It's not really necessary. Anyway, I really like the way it turned out. I have already worn it a few times. When I was buying it, I had to ask my boyfriend what it meant because I don't speak Spanish, but I felt really stupid afterwards because it just means think different, and that's a pretty obvious translation after I think about it a little bit. I also really like the way that this 2-piece set turned out. I was a little bit worried that the shirt would be too short, but I think it looks fine. I haven't worn it together yet, but I've worn both pieces separately and I think they look really good with other stuff. The shirt looks freaking amazing with jeans. I love it. It's so funky and fun. The the two pieces together would look really good at a festival if we ever get to go to one again in the next year. Anyway, it's really nice to have something new and different in my closet for once. That's all I have for you guys. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you want to see what projects I have coming up next or other thrift flips that I have, then don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.